You opened your phone this morning before you even said a word to anyone, before you looked yourself in the mirror, before you thought about what you actually want from this day. You opened someone else's world first. And you did this yesterday, and the day before, and you'll probably do it tomorrow. And somewhere in the background of all that consuming, there's a version of you that hasn't spoken in a long time, a version that wanted to write something, build something, say something, create something, but it never got the silence it needed, because you filled every gap with content. That's what I want to talk about today. Not about discipline, not about productivity hacks, about something far more fundamental, the identity war happening inside you every single day between the person who absorbs and the person who creates, and why only one of them will build the life you actually want. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Daniel. Smart, curious, full of potential. Daniel spent around 4 to 5 hours a day consuming content, YouTube, podcasts, reels, articles, self-help books. He was always learning, always absorbing, always getting ready. Getting ready for what exactly? He couldn't quite say, but he felt productive because he was always doing something. Meanwhile, the project he wanted to start had been sitting in a notebook for 2 years. The business idea, the video, the book chapter, the conversation he needed to have, all of it untouched. And here's the thing Daniel never admitted to himself. The consuming wasn't preparation, it was protection. As long as he was taking things in, he never had to put anything out. And as long as he never put anything out, he could never really fail. Daniel wasn't lazy, he was terrified, and the algorithm gave him an almost perfect hiding place. Here's what no one explains about the psychology of consumption. Your brain has a reward system. It releases dopamine, not just when you achieve something, but when you receive information that feels meaningful. So every time you watch a video about success, your brain gives you a small hit of the feeling of success. Every time you consume content about confidence, your brain gives you a small hit of feeling confident. Every time you watch someone else create, your brain gives you a small hit of what it might feel like to create yourself. The problem? That hit is borrowed. You didn't earn it, you rented it. And like anything rented, it disappears the moment you stop paying, which means the moment you stop consuming. So you consume more and more and more, not because you're weak, because you're human, because your brain found a shortcut to feel like you're moving forward without actually moving. The neuroscientist Andrew Huberman calls this dopamine debt. When you consistently get rewards without the effort they're supposed to require, your baseline drops. The things that should feel rewarding, like doing your own work, sitting with your own ideas, creating something from nothing, start to feel flat, empty, hard. Consuming has made creating feel impossible, not because you lack talent, but because you've been borrowing other people's dopamine for so long that you've forgotten what yours feels like. Now I want to ask you something uncomfortable. What would happen if you sat in silence for an hour? No phone, no music, no podcast, no noise, just you. Most people can't do it, not because they're incapable of stillness, but because in the silence, something comes up, an idea that demands action, a truth that demands courage, a desire that demands commitment. And if you never sit still long enough to hear it, you never have to be responsible for it. This is the deeper reason people consume compulsively. It's not boredom, it's avoidance. Every notification you reach for when discomfort shows up is a choice to stay the same. Every video you autoplay when your own thoughts start to surface is a vote for the person you currently are over the person you could become. The algorithm is not your enemy. It's just very good at being exactly what your fear wants it to be, a comfortable, infinite, perfectly curated escape from yourself. There's a concept in psychology called locus of control. It describes where a person believes the source of their life experience comes from, external or internal. A person with an external locus of control believes that what happens to them is largely determined by things outside themselves, circumstances, other people, luck. A person with an internal locus of control believes that their choices, thoughts, and actions are the primary architects of their experience. Here's what I want you to see. Constant consumption is an external locus of control dressed up as self-improvement. You're always looking outward for the next insight, the next mentor, the next framework, the next person who figured it out so you can follow their map. But no one has your map. No one can. Because your life has never been lived before, the moment you shift from consuming to creating, something profound happens in your neurology. You stop asking, "What did they say?" and start asking, "What do I think?" You stop waiting for someone to give you the formula and start building your own. Your brain, which spent years passively receiving, suddenly has to generate, and generating is hard, terrifying even. But it is the only thing that actually changes you. Let me be precise about what creating actually means. I'm not saying you need to build a company, or start a YouTube channel, or write a book. Creating is any act in which you put something of yourself into the world that wasn't there before. It's a conversation where you say what you actually think instead of what you think they want to hear. It's a decision made from your own values instead of someone else's framework. It's sitting down with a blank page and letting what's inside you come out, ugly, unfinished, uncertain. It's a project started before you feel ready, a boundary set before it's comfortable, a direction chosen before you have all the information. Creation is contribution. It is proof that you exist beyond what you consumed, and here's why it matters at the deepest level. Every human being has an intrinsic need for significance, not fame, but meaning. The sense that they left something, changed something, touched something. Consumption cannot give you that, because consumption is about receiving. Significance only comes from giving, from putting yourself, your actual self, not a performance, into something that costs you effort and vulnerability and time. The greatest regret of people at the end of their lives is not the things they did. It's the things that were inside them that they never let out. So why is it so hard to start? Because creation requires you to be seen. And being seen is the most terrifying thing most people can imagine. When you consume, you're invisible. You're in the audience. Nothing you do can be judged, criticized, rejected. When you create, you step onto the stage. And the moment you step onto the stage, the critic inside you, the one that's been watching everyone else perform for years, turns and faces you. Suddenly you hear it. Who are you to do this? Someone else already did it better. What if nobody cares? What if they laugh? That voice isn't weakness. It's the part of you that learned, somewhere early in your life, that standing out was dangerous, that being visible was risky, that making something and showing it to the world was an invitation to be hurt. And so it built you a fortress made of other people's content, safe inside, always learning, never exposed, always watching, never watched, always consuming, never created. And the years pass. Here is the question that will either crack you open or confirm your comfort. 5 years from now, if you keep consuming at the rate you're consuming, and creating at the rate you're creating, who will you be? Not the version of you that absorbed thousands of hours of wisdom from people who built things. The version that built things. Will you be that version, or will you be more knowledgeable, more informed, more sophisticated, and still in the same place? Because information without creation is just decoration. A beautiful, well-organized, increasingly heavy decoration. The people you admire, the ones whose content you watch, whose books you read, whose stories move you, they are not who they are because they consumed more. They are who they are because at some point they stopped waiting and started making, with the skills they had, with the time they had, with the fear they had. They started anyway. So here is what I want to ask you to do, not one day, now. Pick one thing that has been inside you, untouched, waiting, not the biggest thing, not the most perfect thing, just something that is yours. An idea, a project, a sentence you need to say, a question you need to ask, a direction you need to choose, and instead of researching it for 3 more months, instead of watching 4 more videos about it, instead of asking everyone else what they think, make something. Make one thing, something small, something real, something that requires you to have an opinion, a voice, a presence, because that one act, that one small, imperfect, vulnerable act of creation will do more for you than 1,000 hours of consuming ever could. It will remind you that you are not just a receiver, you are a source. The human being is the only creature on earth capable of creating something that has never existed before, not just reproducing, not just surviving, creating. That capacity is in you. It has always been in you, but you've been outsourcing it to the algorithm. You've been feeding your hunger for meaning with borrowed significance, borrowed ideas, borrowed courage, and your own, the things only you can make, only you can say, only you can build, are sitting in silence, waiting. They have been patient, but they are not infinite. There will come a day when the ideas stop knocking, when the voice inside gets tired of being ignored, when the window closes. Today it is still open. Stop consuming, start creating, not because the world needs your content, because you need to know what you're capable of. And the only way to know that is to make something and find out. The channel is here when you're ready to go deeper, but first, close this video and go make something.